Here we go. Welcome to the Cabinet Maker Profit System podcast, the show that is just for woodshop owners like cabinet makers, architecture millworkers, and closet companies who are interested in being a business person who just happens to run a cabinet shop and not a cabinet maker chasing deal after deal. Look, I know you're here looking for straightforward, no BS answers. And that's why this show is all about getting to the next level by working smarter, not just harder. I want you to move from chaos in your business to clarity. And we're using business tools that you may not have heard of before, or that you might have heard of in the past, but stopped using. We're going to use those business tools to attack bottlenecks and get you and your team on track for success. Now, today's guest is me. I'm going to be talking about practical steps to build your financial future. And I'm going to be doing it from a slightly different angle than you might expect. We're going to be breaking it down into 4 component parts and then dissecting those parts so that you can see similarities between yourself and other contractors. Look, while we're on the topic here of introductions, if you and I aren't connected on LinkedIn yet, please find me on LinkedIn. My name is Dominic Rubino. No surprise there. If we're not connected on Facebook yet, please connect with me there. And there's a very specific Facebook group just for contractors. It's called the Contractor Strategy Group. It does not suffer from overposting. I'll tell you that. It's very specific. People only go on there when they have questions. There's no salespeople in there. There's no spamming. You meet everybody in there and you'll know everybody in there. It's a pretty tight group, but it's just contractor business owners. And we're only there to talk about the business of the contracting business. So if you haven't gotten on there yet, join us on Contractor Strategy Group. By the way, since we're talking about community, from time to time, I run a workshop, and the workshop is called the Time, Team, and Money. The secrets to time, team, and money for contractors. If you want to be on the wait list for that, because I'm not sure when we're running the next one. I'm recording this episode right now and it's early August. And with August and holidays and everything, I don't know when the next one's going to be. But if you're interested, then send me a text message and just say wait list. And that way I can build a list. And then when we do have a date, we'll invite you to that. My cell phone number, as you guys know, is 315-903-7853. And then just say waitlist. Like I said, we'll put you on the waitlist. Anyways, today's episode is important. It took a while to put this together. The sketched out framework we've been working on it for quite a while. And there's 3 reasons why this episode is important. Number 1, your business is a great place to build your nest egg. You can control all the variables. And so your returns are the best within your business. You control it. Investing in yourself is a great way to go. And I want to show you how to build the nest. If I just continue the analogy. Number 2, there's different reasons. Not everybody has the same set of challenges. Today, I'm going to dig into 4 of those reasons, and you can see where you fall in the reasons for, building that financial future for yourself. And number 3, look, other contractors are already using a lot of the secrets we're going to talk about here today. I'm going to share a ton of case studies. In some cases with the case studies. Obviously, we've changed the names to protect the innocent, but we're using case studies and stories from real contractors in real situations. And I know you guys like that. So we've added a lot in here for me to reference during the episode. And look, if at any point you want to learn on working with us, just ask, we can talk about it. Just shoot me a text. Again, the cell phone number, and just say, Dom, let's talk. And then when we talk, we can decide not to or decide to, whatever it is. But let's get to that. The whole podcast is about the mindset of growth and success. And so what I do, I tell dad jokes. And some of you are tuned in just for the dad jokes, right? And you say, Dom, why dad jokes? And why bad jokes? And why dad jokes poorly delivered with poor timing? Because, how else am I going to do? I don't know another way. But I want to get you laughing and I want to get your mind open to hear this topic today because it's a big one, right? We're talking about practical steps to build your financial future. These are the business building steps. You know what? It's an MBA in less than an hour. That's what it is. You're going to get your Master's of Business Administration from the School of Hard Knocks along with me. Broken my nose so many times. Like I've done it wrong and I've watched people do it right. And when I see people doing things right, I pay attention. I take notes. We create a system. We try to make it repeatable. There's no secret other than watching success and copying success. And so that's what I want you to see today. But the dad jokes, let's get to the dad jokes. Now, I did the dad jokes based on something that we talk about in the episode. And you'll hear this in the episode, but I talk about skeet shooting versus golfing. So I went to ChatGPT and I said, hey, ChatGPT, show me something. impress the heck out of me before you take over the world and I become nothing but a drone. And so I use it to write jokes sometimes for us. So I asked it to write jokes for business owners, comparing golfers to skeet shooters. So that's the theme we chose, and that's the jokes we got. So let's see what we've got here. For dad jokes, hey, why do golfers make terrible skeet shooters? Because they're always aiming for the birdie, but in skeet shooting, that means something totally different. What's the biggest difference between a golfer and a skeet shooter? When a golfer yells four, everyone ducks. When a skeet shooter walks up to the tee box and yells pull, everybody just looks confused. Why don't golfers take up skeet shooting? I can't even do this with a straight face. Come on, man. Because in golf, hitting 2 birdies in a row is a good day. In skeet shooting, it's just the beginning. I guess you don't know how bad of a skeet and trap shooter I am. It takes me a couple shots to warm up. There's a lot of lead slung downrange. Actually, Jeremy sent us a really great video of not skeet shooting, but he had a gun range set up around the back of his barn with a whole bunch of obstacles and stuff. It was really cool to see all of the different obstacles and things he had. And Lee's doing a lot of shooting right now, so I'm getting videos from him. So this is good, timely. What's the similarity between a golfer and a skeet shooter? Well, they both love to yell when they miss. One says, darn it. The other one says it a lot faster. What's the difference between a golfer's drive and a skeet shooter's shot? Well, in golf, you drive to avoid a gross shot into the rough. In skeet shooting, you shoot to hit the ruffed grouse. Look, I'm not sure if this is the best use of ChatGPT, but for business coaching, this is what we got, folks. I think it still has to get a lot smarter before we start using it for some of the more complicated things. But right now, let me mock ChatGPT by using it for this. So I asked it to write a poem called The Skeet Shooter's Lament. And it's written from the viewpoint of a contractor whose hobby is skeet and trap shooting. Okay, so here it is. The Skeet Shooter's Lament. In the boardroom, I'm sharp, I'm quick, I'm keen. But out on the range, I'm caught in between. The deals I can close with a confident flair, and the clays that escape floating high in the air. My briefcase is filled with contracts and pens, yet my shotgun misses time and again. I'm the king of the office, a master at trade, but on this rough field, my skills seem to fade. The targets take flight with a whistle and spin, and I pull the trigger hoping to win, but they shatter like dreams just out of my reach, leaving me humbled, no lesson to teach. Oh, the boardroom is mine. I conquer with ease, but the clays, they elude me like leaves in the breeze. So here I stand, both a man and a miss. In business, I triumph, but in skeet, I reminisce. Yet still I return week after week, for there's joy in the challenge, a thrill that I seek. Though the targets may win and the scorecards may tell, I'll keep coming back because I shoot for myself. Well, that is The Skeet Shooter's Lament as written by ChatGPT. And I don't know, if you've got suggestions for me, send them in. By all means, send them as text messages, however you want to get it to me. And make it, it's a family show. Keep it clean. We don't cuss, curse, or swear on the show, so keep it along those lines. Anyways, I also want to remind you, stay tuned to the end of the show. Are you one of those people who just zips past the end of the show to go to another show? Well, don't do that. At the end of the show, it's a very specific training segment where I simplify and solve a common business problem. You're going to learn about that business problem in the episode. So let's get to that. In the meantime, if you ever need to get in touch with me, if you're already curious, shoot me a text. Just say, Dom, let's talk. You know what we'll do? We'll talk. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. Today, we're going to be talking about practical steps to build your financial future. Doesn't matter what kind of contractor you are. Doesn't matter what trade you're in. We're going to be talking about practical steps you can take to build your financial future. Now, I'm going to do this episode a little bit different than you might expect. Oh, actually, before I start, I got a new hat. CWS stands for Contractor Wealth System. You guys know that we rebranded. We've got the 2 shows, right? We've got Profit Tool Belt. That's one podcast and YouTube channel. Then the other show we've got is Cabinet Maker Profit System. That's a podcast and a YouTube channel as well. If you've never heard of either of those, it's surprising that me and my small team, my team is small but mighty. We put out a lot of work and we work with a ton of people. But it causes some confusion sometimes. You're like, well, is this the cabinet maker guy or is this the other trades guy? Profit toolbox. We do it all, but we do it all. It sounds like we do it all, but we do it all in a very specific window. Contractors, tradespeople, very specifically tradespeople that have kind of figured out, hey, I'm done being a trades guy. I want to be a business person who just happens to be a trades guy or gal. We've got quite a few actually women entrepreneurs who are tradespeople as well. Saying hi to you, Heather, and Danielle and Sandra and a couple others out there. Actually, maybe I'll bring up their stories today in our case studies. But let me get back to the point. We're going to be talking about practical steps to build your financial future. Now, I want to capture as much education as I can for you in this episode so that you've got actionable takeaways. And so in order to do that, I can't act like I already have the answer because I don't. I don't. As a matter of fact, I found that the older I get, the less answers I have. I don't know if anybody else out there feels the same. But what I'm going to do then is put a lot of planning into this. Is I'm going to take it from the approach as if we were all sitting around a boardroom table. So as if this was a board of directors meeting, not somebody walking in thinking they know all the answers to everything. Let's put that aside for a second. I think wisdom is going to guide the day in this episode. Wisdom, not pretending you're smart. That's not going to help. We've got to ask the right questions. We've got to find the root cause of the issue for you. And then once we've identified the root cause, the core issue of your financial woes, if you have, if finances is something you worry about. And then once we've identified that, what's the plan? And so that's what the whole arc of this episode is going to be for you here today. All right. So I have a number of tools for each of these issues that we're going to bring up. And I got to tell you, on this one, I'm stuck. Again, I don't have all the answers. If you find yourself in a place where you're like, I think I understand where my challenge is, but I'm not sure where to start, shoot me a note and we'll have a conversation. And then I'll say, okay, this is the tool you need. That's the tool you need to, let's figure it out. And you guys know my contact number. It's 315-903-7853, right? So I'm even going to write that down. 315-903-7853. Why? Because I'm looking at a different book than I normally use. Okay. Here's how we're going to break down the financial future. We're going to break it into a couple of categories. Category number one is I need more business. So raise your hands if you need more business. Well, don't do it if you're driving. But you know what I mean? Raise your hands if you need more business. Okay. For those of you who didn't raise your hands, let me ask, do you need more profits? As in, look, we're busy enough. We're just not profitable. We're working like donkeys. We're just not making the money that we deserve. Or for the amount I'm working, I have what I would call a McJob. You're just making wages. You're barely taking project profits. So maybe you're somebody who needs more profits. Could you be this kind of financial person who says, got lots of money, but what I'm doing is I'm buying toys, as in tools, to overcome the people headaches in my business. Now, you might think that's a bit of a weird angle when we're sitting here talking about financial future, but people are your leverage for getting things done. And if you're trying to escape that pain by running towards purchases for optimization through machinery, actually, I'm a big fan of it, but you have to recognize that at some point, there's not machines to do everything yet. We still need people, right? So unless you're running a total robot kingdom there, and if you are, I'd love to have you as a guest. Then that's another category, right? So the category again is I buy toys, which is tools, to overcome the people headaches I have. And then the final one, number 4, is Dom, money's fine. We're busy. I don't have a life. I just don't have a life. So that's category number 4. Now, if you find yourself in any of those categories, I've got good news for you. We're going to unpack those. We're going to look inside the cookie jar. We're going to find our favorite cookies, right? If none of those 4 things suit you, then don't listen to the episode. But if one of those 4 things suit you, or more than one, then I think you're going to enjoy today, and you're going to get some education, some inspiration, and some insight. All right, so let's break down the first one. I need more business. I need a drink of water. The first one is I need more business. I'm going to break that down into 4 different parts. And if you're sitting down, go ahead and write these down so that you can noodle them over and think about them. If you're driving, if you're mowing the lawn, like we had somebody yesterday who's actually a lawn mowing listener. If you can, write these down, okay? Number one, I need more business. Do I need more leads? Do I need more prospects? Do I need more inbound requests? That's number one. Do I need more sales? Like, we get lots of people contacting us. I'm just not closing enough people. Do we have the wrong customers? So we're busy, but the customers drive me nuts. They're always beating me up on price. They're the wrong customers. They're too far away. They want what we don't do. Any of those things. There's something about the customers that's wrong. Oh, they're bad credit. They're stringing you along, that kind of thing. Or under the category of I need more business, point number 4 is we don't do any marketing at all, which leaves you blowing in the wind. You're completely reactive to the world. Now, a lot of people will say to me with pride, and keep in mind, we talk to probably around generally 500 business owner tradespeople a year, around maybe a little bit more than that. Most of them say to me with pride, Dominic, you know what? We've built this entire company on word of mouth and referrals because we're fantastic. To which I say, oh, that, my friend, is a problem. They'll say, no, I don't think you understand. We're so good. We're so well priced that people give us referrals and pass on our name at cottage events and charcuterie board parties. That's word of mouth. My friend, if you are saying that, you are living on a hope and a prayer. Now, I'm proud of you that you have word of mouth and referrals, and we don't want to stop the word of mouth and referrals, but it is a problem. And the problem is you can't push or pull the referral and word of mouth lever. So you're in a reactive place. You're waiting for those leads to come in. And many of you have seen this. You get a customer who's kind of a headache, but you finish the job and you're like, you know what? They just passed me on to their sister or their cousin or their neighbor. I'll go look at the job. And if they're not very, if it doesn't seem like a good job, I'm not going to take it. But you end up taking that job and you realize they're just like their sister or they're worse. And then those people say, you know what? We're going to refer you to our friend. And slowly the sucking sound of a toilet flushing starts to happen in your life because you're moving the wrong way in your marketing. You've left yourself open to the reactive position. Now, listen, I understand none of us get in the trades because we want to be marketers, right? Let's put that on the table. I don't want to be a marketer. But what if there was an easy way to market so that people contacted you? People respected your position in the market. They knew your technical skills were this. They knew that you actually cared about the products and the projects and the things you built and the services you gave. What if they knew that and contacted you? Wouldn't that be great? Well, if that's what you want, you got to go build it. You can't just do it waiting for word of mouth and referral. That's marketing. I kind of already started with number 4. Let's keep going on number 4. So what does it mean if you have no marketing? You're in a reactive place. And what you have to do, if you want to change that, is you have to get to a place where you do proactive marketing. Now, there's 2 kinds of marketing you can do, and I'm going to break this into very simple steps, or very simple subcategories. Subcategory number 1 is old-fashioned tools. And the subcategory number 2 is newfangled tools. You see, I don't like to make things overcomplicated. Let's just keep it simple. So we've got old-fashioned tools. We've got newfangled tools. Old-fashioned tools are the things that you would expect that might overlook, right? The things you overlook but might expect are signage, direct mail, wrapping your vehicle, getting out there and knocking on doors. And you're saying, hold on a second, Rubino. I don't like to knock on doors. Didn't I just tell you a second ago I don't want to be a marketer? Well, don't be a marketer. Here's an example of what I'd like you to do to knock on doors. By the way, this is assuming you're in the residential market. I'll do commercial in a second. But let's say that you're a residential contractor and you show up to Mr. and Mrs. Smith's house to do the job at the Smith house. Now, where does door knocking fall in that if you want to do more marketing so that you want to get more customers? You want more business. Well, what you do is when you show up, you say, well, get the crew started off, do your thing, take a couple of business cards or some door hangers, and you can get door hangers done on Vistaprint. And you knock on the 5 houses to the left, the 5 houses to the right, and the 5 houses across the street. And now you're saying, Rubino, I told you, I don't want to knock on doors. I don't like it. Nobody's going to come to the door. People are going to hate me. They're going to throw things at me like tomatoes or worse, lead. No, hang on a second. I'll give you a couple of tips. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to do it as a service call. So you knock on the door and then immediately you step back. And if there's stairs, you step down a few stairs and then you turn sideways. Okay, so why do we do that? We step back so that we're not intimidating. We turn sideways so that we're not intimidating. And we certainly try to get lower than them if we can. So if there's 3 steps leading up to their door, get lower than them so you're not intimidating. Step back. Get on their Ring camera. Maybe they'll come on their Ring. That's fine. That's fine. All we want to do is introduce ourselves as customer service. And here's how the script goes when you knock on that door. Knock, knock. Here, we'll do it. Now they come on the ring. Hello, what do you want? Why are you at my door? Say, oh, sorry. Sorry if I caught you at a bad time. Just want to let you know we're working on a house on your block. If you see my truck, it's red with green letters on it. So if you see a strange truck in the neighborhood, it's us. We do home renovations, and I just wanted to let you know that we're going to be here for the next 3 or 4 days. If you have any questions, I'll leave my door hanger on the door. My phone number's there. My name's Dominic. Go ahead and give me a call. Anything you need, any questions you've got, let me know. And the person on the other end of the ring will say, that's fine. Thank you. Hang on. Did you say you do bathrooms? Did you say you do kitchens? Did you say you do roofing? Did you say you do cabinets? Whatever it is, right? Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen every home you go to, but out of 10, 1 will. And that's all you need. Every job you get in a neighborhood should spin off 1 more job in the neighborhood. Now, if that doesn't excite you, think about this as well. All you cheap penny pinchers out there, and you know who I'm talking to. If you're a cheap penny pincher, smile. Give me a big thumbs up. I throw around nickels like they're manhole covers, and I'm proud of it. What you've done, technically, is lowered your acquisition cost per customer. I know that's Dom being dorky and geeky as a business coach, but that's what it is. So what we've done is, however we got the Smith job, it cost us a certain amount of in marketing, right? Let's say we ran ads or we did Facebook ads and we got that customer. And from all the Facebook ads we did, it cost us $1,200. And we got a lead, and that lead turned into a job. So it cost us $1,200 to get the Smith job, right? And you're kicking yourself, you're talking to your wife like, Facebook's expensive. I'm a cheapskate. I can make wire out of pennies, like all that stuff. But if you go knock on a couple doors and you get 1 more deal, what you've now done is your acquisition cost per customer cut in half. So yeah, you spent that $1,200 and you got the Smith job, but now you got the Chan job too. So now each of those jobs only cost you $600. And so remember the title of today's episode, Practical Steps to Build Your Financial Future. It's not by spending your way into being wealthy. It's by being clever and understanding how money works and how to make money work for you. Let's take that to its next logical conclusion. Let's say that you have ice water running through your veins and you would knock on any door anywhere every single day that your guys go to work on that job site. After you go by and check on things, you take 10 or 20 door hangers and you knock on 10 or 20 different doors. So not just the 5, 5, 10, 5 to the left, 5 to the right, 10 across the street, but you go over 1 block and you say the same thing. Hey, we're in the neighborhood. Just want to let you know, if you see our trucks or our guys, we got a red truck with green lettering, just so you know it's us. If you have any questions, I'll leave my door hanger here. My phone number's there. My name's Dominic. Give me a call. And then the person says, what trade did you say you're in? What do? You say, oh, we do windows. Oh, we do cabinets. Oh, we do flooring. And they'll say, flooring? Really? We were just talking about getting our floors redone. Do you have a second to have a look right now? To which you will say, I do. Crazy. Now what have you done? Your $1,200 acquisition cost for the Smiths now cut in 3. And so you don't have to re-spend the same money again and again, like a donkey on a wheel. You're finding a way to reduce your acquisition cost and increase your lifetime value. Again, I know I'm getting geeky and dorky, but I'm a business coach and my business is geeky and dorky. This is what we do. We just try to make it easy and exciting and kind of fun, but still to the point, because you got to do it. I can't do it for you. I'll provide the what, like what to do. You got to provide the when. That's always going to be the case. There's no magic here. There's no magic. I'll show you what to do. My team and I will show you what to do. Do this, say that, follow this, fill out that form. And that'll give you the results you want. But we can't make you do it. That's that internal fire that's inside of you. Anyways, all that was subpoint number 4, insight point number 1. Number 1 being I need more business. So if you're in a case where you're not doing enough marketing, let's just call that a little piece of mini training there, and hopefully a piece of mini inspiration. Based on what I just shared with you, what are you going to do differently and what are you going to change in your business right now? Please go ahead and write that down. Okay, let's keep working our way back up the list. Since I started with number 4, let's go back up to number 3. I need more business, but we've got the wrong customers. Well, I could probably go back to the same place. You may have the wrong customers because you're not actively going after say it with me, we're not going after the right customers. So what is the right customer for you? Have you ever sat down and written it on a piece of paper? As a matter of fact, that is a great exercise. Here's what I'd like you to do. I would like you this week to go to a coffee shop with a blank piece of paper and a book. And I want you to write out everything you know about your perfect customer. While you're doing that, I'm going to buy your coffee for you. And here's how to do that. Take a picture of yourself, a selfie. You guys know how to do it, right? Take a selfie of yourself with your pen in your hand and your book and your coffee. Take a selfie and send it to me. Just text me. It's easy. You know the cell phone number, 315-903-7853, and I'll send you $5. Now, I'll send you a $5 Amazon gift card because I don't have a way to pay Dave's coffee shop in Branson, Missouri, but or wherever you are. And if you're at Starbucks and you bought a Frappuccino for breakfast, I'm not going to send you $13, but I'll send you $5. And I hope you understand that's the commitment level I have to you succeeding in your business. You're probably not going to find anybody who's more passionate or into this business than me. I want you to succeed. So I'll buy your coffee if you do the plan. Remember, I'll show you what to do. You got to tell me the when. When are you going to do it? So this week, what day are you going to go? Are you going to go on Tuesday? How many people say Tuesday? Raise your hands. Okay, we're going to do it on Tuesday. What time on Tuesday are you going to go? Dom, I don't know if I can make it Tuesday. Okay, Thursday. I don't care what day it is. But you're going to go. You're going to take a picture. You're going to send it to me. And all you have to do on that piece of paper is write down who's my perfect customer. And this is easy to do because you've already dealt with your perfect customer, right? It's Rosemary Green Mug. I'm looking at a green mug right now. That's how I came up with that last name. Rosemary Green Mug. And she lives on Coffee Pot Lane. And she's got a professional career. Her husband has a professional career. She drives a minivan. He drives a Tesla. They have 2 kids. The kids go to private school. They are in after-school sports. The daughter's in gymnastics. The son is in softball. You know, you just lay all that stuff out. And you might think, Dom, this sounds like stalking. And I'll say, well, you're not wrong. We're just trying to build a picture of the perfect customer. Because the more I understand my customer, the more they trust me. All right. The more I understand my customer, the more they trust me. And so I really have to understand what they care about, right? What local church do they go to? What local library do they go to? What local coffee shop do they go to? Well, now I've got places I can market to them. I've got places I can run into them. I've got things that I can refer to in our marketing. There's a lot to understand when you understand your perfect customer. Unless you have your target right, none of your marketing is ever going to work, right? If you are, let's just say you're doing kitchen cabinets. Well, let's split it up. Let's say you're doing kitchen cabinets or full renovations, and you're marketing to this perfect neighborhood, but you didn't go and research and find out that everybody in that neighborhood rents. You're never going to get any business, and you're going to burn money. You're just going to burn it by pouring buckets of gas and money on it and lighting it on fire because nobody there is a decision maker. So you see what I mean? You have to know the right kind of people in the right kind of neighborhood that does the right kind of business. Here's the other thing you could do to shortcut that is find a competitor that you kind of admire and kind of scared of at the same time. Find out where they specialize or find out where their current project is and draw a circle around that property and go after it. Now, this is all residential, by the way. So you've got lots of opportunities here. And if you want to talk to me about this, obviously this is something that we are skilled. Like this is easy conversation for us, right? This is what we guide lots of our clients through. You've got me, you've got Coach Lee, Coach Jake, Coach Ryan. We do this all day long. But if you want to have a conversation with us, just send us a text, 315-903-7853, and just say, Dom, let's talk about marketing. And then you know what we'll do? We'll talk about marketing. Now, for those of you in the commercial space, you're saying, well, Rubino, it's all good, but I'm a commercial guy. We did commercial TIs, we did commercial this, we did commercial that. You know, we only work for builders. Okay, that's awesome. You still need a target to go after. So if you suffer from having the wrong customers or no marketing, it's time to get marketing. Now, what you need to do is create a list. You don't need to create an avatar. You still need to create an avatar, but that avatar leads you to a list of people. I want this builder, not that builder. I want builders who won an award from BOMA, the Building Owners and Managers Association, right? That exists. There's an association called the Building Owners and Managers Association. Yeah, it's called BOMA. There's a list. If that's your target market, go after that. If you do, we had a guy named Chris working with us, and Chris did TIs, tenant renovations, in malls, shopping malls. It was completely ruining his life. He was like, Dom, I'm winning all these jobs. We're super busy, but I've got no life. And I said, well, tell me more about that. Well, it turns out he could only work when the mall is closed. And the mall is closed at 10 o'clock at night and it opens again at 9 in the morning. So guess what hours he and his crew had to work? So he had staffing problems. He had marital problems. That's why I'm only saying Chris's first name, right? He was busy and making money, no problem, but he had no life, the poor guy. And yet he's great at commercial TIs. He had just chosen the wrong market for him and his lifestyle. So we had to take that, and instead of going after the Mall Managers Association, the Mall Property Managers Association, he went after a different target market, one that allowed him to have a life. His crew was happy. He didn't lose any crew moving from working graveyards to normal hours. He lost nobody. Go figure. How many would you lose going the other direction? But nobody complained really going the other direction. Nobody. Right? So in the commercial world, we still need to market. It still comes down to getting face to face and belly to belly with the right people, shaking hands, looking them in the eye and saying, I can do that project. Can't wait to have a shot at it. All right. So we're still under the category of I need more business. We've talked about we don't do any marketing. We've already talked about we have the wrong customer. Maybe you've got a sales conversion rate problem. Now, the sales conversion rate problem is it's just like a batting average, right? If you go up to bat 10 times and you out of the park 3 times, you got a 300. You got a 30% batting average, right? It's the same in sales. If you go on 10 sales calls and you win 80, 90% of the calls, 8 or 9 of the sales meetings you go to, you might think, Dominic, I'm a superhero. I don't need your help. I'm just a naturally skilled business guy. I can sell anything. If I'm in front of somebody, 8 or 9 out of 10 will buy from me. And then I will say, uh-oh, we got a problem, Charlie. Because there's 2 things that are happening. Number one is you are leaving money on the table right now. You're working way too hard, which is probably eating into family time, going back to Chris's example, right? Real stories about real people and real situations, what they really did about it. That is a classic. If you've got a super, here, let me change this. If you're selling all the deals you're going to, there's only a couple of other professions, I'll just say, that are competing with you. One of them is the oldest profession in the world, I would imagine. Because if somebody goes up to that person, they're going to buy. So they have a very high conversion rate. The other one is drug dealers, right? So it's you selling roofing or windows or siding or cabinets, and drug dealers and the other one I was talking about. So congratulations, you're in very fine company. Your conversion rate needs to be 30 to 40%. I would even be happy if it was 25% because it means that you're pricing your jobs enough that you're profitable on the work you do. So maybe you'll only do 10 jobs, but you'll do 10 $100,000 jobs instead of 50 $25,000 jobs. Do you see what I mean? It's a little bit of a change in thinking, but that's what business coaching does is it brings a new perspective in what we do. That's what I want to help you do, right? So you want to have that new perspective in everything that you're doing. All right. So sales conversion rate could be a problem. If you need to change your sales conversion rate, you might need some training in sales, which actually goes back to the marketing thing we talked about, which is how do we get people to call you? Understanding that you are the best technical solution for their problem. Once that happens and they see you and they understand that you're a technical expert, sales is actually very easy. We can move to an educational or a consultative type sale, which is very low pressure for everybody because it's educational based. There's really no closing. There's nothing hard about it. You're just educating people. And at the end of it, they go, clearly, you're the person we need. You're the only one who understood every piece of our job technically. And so you win the job, right? And then you might have a leads problem. Do you have a leads problem? So a leads problem is we don't have enough leads, or we don't have the right leads, or we don't know how to get leads, or leads are too expensive. All of those things have to be picked apart. So if you've got questions about anything under the I need more business category, just send me a text message. Send us a text message. The cell phone number is 315-903-7853 and say, Dom, let's talk about marketing. And we'll talk. That's it. It's pretty simple. And the reason I say that is I'm looking at all of the different free downloads that we provide. So there's the blind spots, there's healthy, wealthy, wise, there's find and fix your 8 profit leagues. There's the Construction Millionaire Blueprint, which is insanely one of the most powerful tools, the professional development tools that we share. And it's the least downloaded, which drives me bonkers. It's actually the script, if you will. It goes on in the background of me and all of my coaches when we're working with our clients, is the Construction Millionaire Blueprint, and nobody ever downloads it. I'm like, you guys are missing the point. That is the thing. But anyways, leave that alone. And then we've got the 1 hour job calculator, the go back calculator. So there's a number of tools, but again, not understanding how you need to use the tool, even if you've downloaded it from me before, these professional development tools, I can understand how it might just be still sitting on your hard drive because you don't understand the importance. You've got a pointy spear, but there's no shaft. Like you don't know where to poke it, right? So you've got the tool, but you don't have the application. Once we show you the application, you'll be like, okay, I've been waiting all year for that. Now, finally, I figured it out. So just send me a text and say, Dom, let's talk about marketing. And then we'll talk about marketing and I'll guide you in the right direction. Simple, easy peasy. All right, let's move on now to those of you who raised your hand when you said, I need more profits. I need more profits. And when I say profits, I mean profits like money, not profits like church, right? I need more profits. So that breaks down into 5 subsections that I listed here, at least 5 subsections. I'm going to get another drink of water. The five subsections are as follows. Your hourly rate, the difference between gross profit margin and markup. If you don't know that, you're leaving money on the table and you're actually kind of slitting your own throat. That was pretty direct, wasn't it? Yeah. The end of job report. Wrong jobs. Remember, we had that up above when we were talking about I need more business. And then production issues. We got lots of examples of tradespeople out there who are frustrated, really, because of production issues. And I can think of Colin, Jacob, Jeremiah, George, Nathan, Sandra, production issues in their shops or in the field where there shouldn't be. And those production issues stem from a number of different places. Let me do this one in order, though. When we talked about I need more business, I did it in reverse order, which felt weird. So I'm going to do this one in proper order. So I need more profits. Let's talk about your hourly rate. Now, we've talked about hourly rate on the show before. I've given you case studies and examples of lots of people that are in the bootcamp program. We rip this thing apart so that you understand your hourly rate to the nth degree. When we talk about it in Construction Millionaire Blueprint, when we talk about it in the Construction Millionaire Bootcamp, the specific module is how to estimate for profits with confidence. That's the name of the specific training module, professional development module. The reason is if you put a bid, an estimate, or a quote out there, and again, this doesn't matter if you do commercial, residential, civil, institutional, industrial, naval, it doesn't matter. When you put your best price forward and somebody comes back and says, I like you, you seem great, technically skilled, proficient, we've heard lots of great things about you. Can you do it for this price? There's a certain price when you just push it back across the table and you say, no, we cannot. No, we cannot. And look, I'm no dummy. I've been a contractor. Sometimes you take a deal to keep the guys busy, right? Put your hands up if you've ever done that. I've taken jobs to keep my guys busy because it's hard to get good guys. And so I've eaten it on jobs just to keep my guys working. And I'll bet you dollars to donuts, everybody else out there's already done that as well. It's not a good feeling because you know what you're doing. You're giving away your stuff for free. But there does come a point in time when you have to say no. Now, in itself, that's actually also a tactic for getting the deal, because when they know they've pushed too hard and you say, I can't do that, then they're more willing to come back and say, oh, okay, I just thought I'd ask you. Go ahead and do this. But in reality, you've got a number. There is a number. And I want you to think about it like this. Your hourly rate for your company is all of your costs. And if that number scares you, that's okay, because it is the number. You can't just stick your head in the sand and ignore it. But I want you to think about it like this. There is a number that I could rent your company from you for on an hourly basis. So if I wanted to rent your company, your tools, your people, the toilet paper, yeah, I'm renting the toilet paper in your bathroom, the coffee filters in your coffee machine. How much would it be per hour to rent your business? That's the number that we're talking about here. What is your actual cost to run the business? The day after New Year's Eve, so January 1st, when you flick on the lights in your company, the meter starts running. What is the first hour cost? There's a couple different ways to look at this, but until you understand that number, you will struggle to be profitable. You will struggle for years. This is so common. We run across this all the time in our business coaching, all the time. People are out there. They're charging what they think is a great rate. They think they're being competitive, but they're actually cutting their own throats. and they're wondering why they're working so hard and not getting ahead. There comes a number when you just can't do the work for somebody. And so we have to figure that out. Okay. So that's the first. Again, if you have questions on that one, dead serious. This one is actually not hard to figure out when you got the right tools to do it. Right. It's the same as turning off the water in your house. People are, I don't know how to turn off the water in my house, but you need that long key on a long pole that goes into one certain place in your house. That is the right tool for the right job. Otherwise, that tool just sits in the corner for years and years gathering dust or rust in my house. But until you've got that tool, you can't fix the problem. But you might have that problem and not have the tool to fix it. Just get the tool. Send me a text, 315-903-7853, and then just say, Dom, let's talk about profits. And then we'll talk about profits. Okay. So anyways, that was number one. Number two, do you really understand the difference between gross profit margin and markup? Now, you might think, well, Dominic, I'm ready. Please explain it to me. No, not going to do that. And the reason is I use a cheat sheet. The reason that you use a tool is because you need the tool. And so why try to cheat it or why try to shortcut it? That's what I call it when I'm doing trade work. That's Mickey Mousing something. Like you could drive a nail with a screwdriver handle, but that's not the right tool for the job. It works, right? It works, but you got to smash it 6 times. You wreck your screwdriver. You know what I mean? It's not the right tool for the job. Sure, it'll do it, but it's not great. Just grab a hammer, grab the right tool for the job. Well, what kind of hammer, Dom? Well, what kind of job are we doing? Is it a masonry hammer? Is it a framing hammer? Can you use a framing hammer if you're doing finish carpentry? What if you're doing forge work? It's a different hammer, right? So you need the right tool for the right job. So when we talk about gross profit margin versus markup, there's a cheat sheet. I'm not proud at all. I use a cheat sheet. I remember I think I've shared this story before, but I was talking to an engineer. We're out for dinner with a bunch of people. And we were talking about the difference between what you learn in school and what you learn in the real world. And he's like, Dom, in school, we had to learn the tensile strength of braided wire and the breaking points and all this stuff. And he goes, it was really hard. There's tons of formulas. You have to memorize them. He goes, and then you get in the real world and there's a reference chart. Because I don't know how to calculate it anymore. I look at the reference chart. It's a tool. Even engineers use those tools because they can't afford to make a mistake when everything's on the line. And for you, my friend, everything's on the line when we're talking about the difference between gross profit margin and markup. If you don't know that, you're probably taking money out of your own pocket and you're building people's kitchens for free. You're fixing their roof for free. You're installing windows on their home for free. You're the last person to get paid when you should be the first because you're the solution provider, not the problem causer. Anyways, then we got the EOJ reports, the end of job reports, which is an autopsy on the job. If you're chasing profits, the information is in the data. The information is the information, right? You got to have good info. So we could talk about EOJs. So we've talked about that here a lot, but that's a really critical tool. And then again, we come back to, are you working on the wrong jobs? The wrong jobs, geez, think about Dan. Dan from Ann Arbor, Michigan. Great guy, super nice guy. Super nice guy. Some of you have heard this story before. When he started working with us, he was doing like 300 grand a year. And then it didn't take him very long. We got him to 1.01 million inside of a year, something like that. It wasn't very long at all. And one of the great stories about Dan, and I could share this later under the category, Dom, the money's fine. We're busy, but I don't have a life. The most impactful, my best day as a business coach is when I hear great stories. I'll just tell it now. Dan was able to buy braces for his daughter and he paid for it out of cash flow at the company. And I thought, well, that's great. Yeah, awesome. Good for you, right? To me, it's normal. Just rolled off my back. $7,000 was the price for his daughter's braces. He was like, Dom, here's what I did. But what I didn't do is what I promised to do at the beginning of this is I didn't listen because I'm a dummy. And when I started listening, I realized that Dan's son had needed braces years before. And the stress at his kitchen table was through the roof because they had to finance it. They thought about not giving their son braces. Like, how's that for a decision for a dad? Nobody wants to do that. Like, do we let my son have crooked teeth because we can't afford it? And you're looking across the table at your wife and you're like, yeah, honey, I'm working as hard as I can. I know I'm late all the time. And even though I'm working hard, I don't have the money to take care of the kids. That is not a good feeling for a dad. So when Dan explained the whole scope and I stopped to listen, I realized how proud he really was when he was able to cut a check for his daughter's braces, right? So I know that falls under I need more profits. And it also falls under Dom, money's fine. We're busy. I don't have a life. But really, all of us are in business for family reasons at the end of the day. At least the people who listen to my show, very strong in their faith, very strong in family. I know that because we talk to lots of you and I keep working hard to listen better. Anyways, I'll leave that alone. But wrong jobs is an important thing. Actually, let's stay on Dan for a second. Dan was doing, like I said, 300 grand when we met him. Then he did the Construction Millionaire Boot Camp. He actually did a previous version of Construction Millionaire Boot Camp called 30-Day Construction Business, which we renamed to the Construction Millionaire Boot Camp. He took that and then he moved on to doing one-on-one coaching and just fantastic results. Like he just did what he needed to do, marched along. And you know what? After a couple of years, he stopped working with us, but it's fine. We still talk. He's a great guy, but we're a tool as well. We're just a tool in the toolkit. And I understand that, right? But what we had to come to understand is he was trying to do renos for everybody. And he had no focus at all. Christian, if you're listening, you and I just had a phone call today about the same thing. So Christian, now you know what day I recorded the podcast because you and I just talked today about that same thing. I can do anything in a house, but I've got no focus. And because I've got no focus, I can't get my guys trained because one day they're doing windows. The next day they're doing flooring. The next day we're building a shed. The next day we're building a deck. All of those things are carpentry, but it's hard to find a guy who's got the skill that you have as the owner, probably, right? So it leads to a whole bunch of other problems. So the wrong jobs lead to all sorts of other really disgusting, I got to eat Tums by the pound problems, right? And so we need to get you away from that. There are simple systems to move you from chaos to clarity. There are simple systems. Guys, I've been doing this for a long time and I'm still learning. So you can't expect to reinvent it yourself wherever you are in the world. You have to lean on simple systems to take advantage of those simple systems so you don't have to reinvent the wheel, right? Don't do it. Try to find the systems that you need. All right. And then we've got production issues, and production issues is a really common one. I think about all of the people that get stressed or frustrated about production issues because it's a waste of time. And as the owner, because you used to do the job, right? You used to be a plumber. You used to be the cabinet maker. You used to be the cabinet installer. You used to be the architectural mill worker. You might have even been an inspector at one point. Like, how the job works. But you see production inefficiencies, you see wasted time, you see wasted efforts, and it drives you nuts. There are simple systems to fix that as well, because nobody said you had to be an expert at everything in business when you went and started and got your first job. And look at you today. You're now doing 3 million a year or 300 grand a year. And you're looking around going, all right, like I got to be honest, Tom, I don't know what's next. Well, that's okay. Call me and I will say, okay, give me the background situation. I'll ask a whole bunch of questions and I'll say, okay, based on what you said, go down this path. The answer, literally all you've got to do is contact me and we can have that conversation. So if you got production issues, it's a great segue. It's a great way for us to jump over to the other topic about practical steps to build your financial future, which is, Dom, I buy toys, which are tools, to overcome people headaches. How many of us have people headaches? If you're tired of raising your hand, raise the other hand on this one. I've got people problems. It's hard to find good people. It's hard to recruit good people. It's hard to keep good people, or I hire good people and they don't stay, or I hire mediocre people and they join me and get worse. That sucks. That one stinks. But if that's what happens, then again, there are simple systems to fix that. And it really comes down to running the business on purpose. I've mentioned this before, but I want you to be a business person who just happens to be a contractor, not a contractor chasing job after job after job. We got to get back to you understanding that you're a business person who happens to be a contractor. It's a very different way to see the world, and it gives you different outcomes, right? So some of the people that come to mind that buy toys to overcome the people problem, John, and the John I'm talking about knows who I'm talking about because we were just talking about it. John is a very, very high-end architectural mill worker who gets frustrated with his people, and I understand why. He's right. And continually looks for equipment and machinery to replace people. They're doing it to themselves, right? The people are, sometimes you hire people and they are literally begging you to make a different decision. So you let them go and you think, can I replace you with a robot? How big a compliment is that? Anyways, John, you're chasing that bunny. Then we got Brad. Nathan, Lloyd, Heather. These are just the people that come across my mind right now. I'm sure Lee has a different list. Jake's got it. Ryan, all the coaches, we have different lists of people who's buying tools to overcome people headaches, which is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. But at some point, there still has to be somebody who runs the tool, right? There's people who, what about the transition between this robotic piece of machinery and the next one? Or if you're in a trade, let's say you build decks, there's not a lot of robotics there. Like the saws are getting fancier and the nailers are getting fancier and the fastening systems are getting fancier, but you still need a guy to hold the tool. And so you can't get around that. And so if your financial problems are coming from people problems, that's a massive leverage point that you have as an opportunity. And how do you fix that? Well, you don't have to change who you are at all. Whatever person you are, whatever behavioral style or personality you are, is fine. You can keep being that. We just got to build a team that works within that. And you do that by going about it on purpose, not randomly. And there's a whole bunch of little tiny cogs and gears. It's like putting together the transmission in your car. Once you pull it apart, you look at it and you're like, how does this even work? But when you put it together and when you know how to put it together, then it makes sense. And so building a culture actually starts with you as the owner, but it also actually starts with you being a lot firmer than you're probably being. So if you already think, look, I'm a no nonsense, let's get her done, when I say it, it has to happen kind of guy, I'll bet you we need more of that. But I'm going to funnel it, I'm going to channel it in a different way. So if one of your challenges around building a financial future is you can't leverage people into a functioning team, and so you're trying to replace that with tools and machinery, there are solutions. I'm actually a big fan of replacing as much as we can with tools and machinery, but you still need people. So anyways, questions on that one, send me a text. Say it with me, folks. We know my cell phone number, 315-903-7853. I'm here to help. And just say, Dom, let's talk about toys. Let's make it fun. And then we'll talk about toys or machinery or replacing people with robots. Oh my God. One day this episode's going to be funny when we actually have all been replaced with robots. And then let's go to our next one before we get to our solutions. The next problem is, Dom, money is fine. We're busy. I don't have a life. And so I think about Colton. Oh my God. Colton's a good guy, man. Colton, you're listening. I know you're listening. Totally good guy. He had to put his mom in a home, but he could only afford to put her in a quad, like a room with 4 other people. And one of the other women in the room had dementia. And so she would stay up all night yelling and talking and, just generally moving around. His mom couldn't sleep. And just the most honest conversation you ever had with a guy when just 2 guys are talking. It's like, I got to get her out of there, man. She raised me. She's a single mom. She raised me. She deserves better. Colton's whole reason, by the way, not his name, as you would imagine. Colton's whole reason for wanting to turn around his business so the business could spit out more money is so that he could take that money and just take care of his mom. I cannot think of a higher calling. For me, as his coach, or for Lee, or any of us as coaches, and for Colton. Again, not his name. So if you know a guy named Colton, we're not talking about him. That is one I would certainly never share the name of, right? Then you got Ryan. Oh my God. Ryan, another good guy. He just wanted to, the simplest and most noble of reasons. His daughter was upset because he was always on his phone when he was watching her softball practice. He just wanted to be the dad who is in the stands, just watching practice, but not on his phone, trying to project manage everything. So Dom, we got money. Money's fine. We're busy. I don't have a life. How many of you out there, your buddies have stopped calling you for golf, for fishing, for skiing, for hunting trips, and they just say, hey, Dom, look, we're going to call you, bud, but I don't want you to feel bad, so we just went without you. And they went on an epic golf trip or an epic tuna trip down in Venice, Louisiana, off to the oil rigs. And they just said, we didn't call you because we didn't want you to feel bad. I don't want you to be that guy, right? Or maybe your wife wants to go on choir to Rome to sing at the Vatican. I don't know. It's your thing, but you know what the thing is, right? And so, look, we're busy. I just can't. I need a life. I need balance. The business has taken over me. It's everything. And so, by the way, I should point out, this has happened to me as well. A really quick aside here, guys, before you start thinking I have all the answers to everything, because I don't. Sorry, I had to take a sip of water there. I had a business prior to this that I sold. The business was successful. I built it from zero. Like I actually bought it when it was in the tank and I turned it around and I built it up to 237 locations. You guys may have heard this story before, but you might not know the reason I sold the business. I sold the business because I was traveling all the time, all the time. I was like a guy on a TV show, just on the plane, back off the plane, in meetings. Let's do this, let's do that. Boom, out again, fly to somewhere else. And I thought that's what you do. That's how you build a business, right? I bought this business. I turned it around. I did all the entrepreneur things. I'm a business coach. I know how to do this. But what I forgot about was my family, which is dumb. I didn't have a family to forget about them. I didn't meet the greatest girl in the world to ignore her. And then we didn't have the greatest two kids in the world to ignore them. But one day I got an offer from some of the people inside our company to buy in as partners. And I turned it down. So imagine that. You get a call from somebody who wants to buy your business and you say no. So I went home for dinner that night. We're sitting at the table. My wife says, "Hey, honey, what happened at work today?" Totally normal conversation, right? And I say, "You wouldn't believe it, but somebody offered to buy us." And my wife, I probably missed a couple of cues there too. She was like, "Is all of this insanity going to be over?" So she goes, "Oh, great. So what did you say?" I said, "No, we're not ready to be sold yet. Well, we're going to do this. We're still going to do that. I got plans. Rah, rah, rah." Now, my son sits beside my daughter when we sit down for dinner. Sitting for dinner is a big part of our family. It's where we reconnect. So we do it, I'll say all the time. As the kids get older, maybe it's 90% of the time now, but we sit when we have dinner. And so I continued my story because I'm a dum-dum. I said, "Yeah, I'm not going to sell." I said, "By the way, I've got to go to San Diego next week. So here's what I'm going to do. I got to be there Monday to Friday. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave Sunday night after the kids are in bed. They won't even know I'm gone. And then I'll fly home Thursday at the very end of the day. I'll catch the last flight home. So I'll still be home for Friday. Then I'm here for the weekend and everything's normal. It's like I was never gone." And I looked past my wife at my son and he just shrunk inside his own skin. He shrunk just one size, just like slumped his shoulders. And I thought, this beautiful little boy, what the heck am I doing, man? What am I doing? Like, I'm going to use this word. Some of you guys might get mad. I'm retarded. Are you kidding me? This is not why I'm a dad. This is not me at all. What have I done? And so I went into my office the next day and I told my partner I was selling. And so that led to quite a long, we talk about family businesses having a little bit of hair. Well, that caused some hair as well. I've sold 2 different companies now, 2 large multinational companies, and both of them I built from scratch. But it was more important to me to sell this one, even though it was smaller than the one I sold before. And God, I love my kids. I should have done it sooner. So when we talk about, "Dom, money's fine, we're busy, I don't have a life," please don't think I come at this from some textbook place, because I get it. And as long as I continue to listen carefully to what you say, I'll continue to learn and be in your shoes. And when I understand where you're coming from, then I could stand beside you and say, "Okay, let's go here." Now you can look at me and go, "That's not exactly what I meant. Let's go here." But, okay, it's your plan. We're going to follow your plan. But if you don't have a plan and you don't have the accountability to hold yourself to it, how are you ever going to get there? Right? Let's say your wife decides she's going to start doing marathons. She goes outside one day for a 1-mile run and then comes back in and says, "I bought the shoes and I really like the outfit, but I'm not going to do the runs anymore." You sit there and as a supportive husband, you say, "Well, that's fine, honey. At least you tried." But in your head, you're like, who's holding you accountable? Go get yourself a running coach, join a running group, do some things, hang out with runners, right? And what about yourself? You complain about your golf score, but you never get a golf coach. Maybe you need to go get a golf coach. That'll make you feel better. It'll give you some time off work. But you need that accountability of somebody who's standing back and saying, "You know what's wrong with your swing?" And you say, "What?" And they go, "Everything." That's what I hear. We were at Topgolf a couple of weeks ago, at a lacrosse tournament for my son, and the guys lit me up. I was like, "You guys are getting this all wrong. My score is the best in golf. I'm making the most." It was bad. It was bad. And they're all a bunch of golfers. I'm not at all. I would rather somebody hit the ball and I tried to knock it out of the air with my shotgun, but trap shooting. But anyways, another topic altogether. "Dom, money's fine. We're busy. I just don't have a life." I want you to have that life. And so again, just shoot me a text, 315. My cell phone number, is 315-903-7853. The professional development tools that we've put together here that I think are most appropriate for this are the blind spots workbook, which you do on your own, the healthy, wealthy, wise workbook, which you do on your own. Find and fix your 8 profit leaks is a summary overview of all the places where you're making money in your business, but you're losing it at the same time. So it's like you're filling a bucket, but somebody's drilled a hole at the bottom. You're like, why are we always leaking money? It's the same thing, except there's 8 holes at the bottom of that bucket. The Construction Millionaire Blueprint. Again, I'm a little surprised that people haven't really picked up on that one. I just haven't done a good job, I guess, of explaining its importance. So that you know, the Construction Millionaire Blueprint is a fundamental, foundational piece of training I do with our business coaches, because that is the map we use in the background when we are talking to the Coltons, Ryans, Larrys, TJ, Sandra, Dan, Colin, Jacob, Jeremiah, George, Nathan, Thomas, Ethan, and Dan, John, Brad, Nathan, Lloyd, and Heathers of the world. Almost every single Ben. I mean, people I haven't even talked about come to mind. That's the tool that we use. So that's one you should definitely get. And then the 1 hour job estimate calculator, which, as I've said before, goes by a number of titles because it's used differently for different things, slightly different application, but you need to know how to use it. Once you do, that's the tool for you. Tells you your minute, what does it cost to rent your business for 1 hour? Chris, you know, you and I are working on this one right now, Mr. Chris. And Chris knows who I'm talking about when I say Chris. That is his name, but I won't say any other details. Just Chris and I can share a laugh. All right. So here's what you do. If you've had any of those issues, there's 4 steps. Step number 1, clearly define your issues, not the symptom. So clearly define your issues, not the symptom. What is the root cause? So one of the things we did with Daryl's got a foreman, and the foreman just wasn't getting stuff done. It's a very capable foreman, super guy, as a matter of fact, Superman. And what happened is they started to lose some people. And so Daryl's foreman took it on himself because he can. Because he's very skilled, because his natural comfortable place is in operations. But what happened is now he's not driving the business forward. He's just keeping operations afloat. So there's no growth. It's kind of going sideways, right? So we had a superhero situation with overwhelm. How do you overcome that? Well, you do like anything else. You come up with a plan. You get agreement on the plan. You work the plan. You get resistance to the plan, and you go back to the plan. Then you get resistance on the plan, and you go back to the plan. You get resistance on the plan and you go back to the plan. I wish it was more complicated than that. But the accountability and knowing which exercises to do and knowing different ways to present the information and coming at it from the side, coming at it from the bottom and over the top and a new way every single time until finally it gets through. If there's magic, that's the magic. And it's really not magic, it's science. You just apply different tools until you find the tool or the combination tools that work, right? So that's step number 1. Clearly define your issue, not the symptom. Once you've identified the root cause, you can then build a plan to work on the root cause, not the symptoms. Okay. If you want a little cheat sheet right now, just while we're talking, you can think about your issue in your business through these filters, and that might help you clearly identify it. So I'm going to say the filters out loud. Hit replay if you want, but I'll just say these ones out loud. These are the filters that I want you to look at your business through right now. The filters of people, process, systems, cash, or getting stuff done. Okay, so I'll say the filters again. Think about your business through the filters of people, process, systems, cash, or getting stuff done. Sometimes I call it execution, GSD, getting stuff done, right? So think about it through those 5 filters, and you'll be able to identify what you think your biggest problem is, and then take that problem and ask yourself, is that the symptom or the cause? And go back to the root cause, okay? Step number 2, as we talk about, build a plan. Now, listen, building a plan doesn't mean it's a straight shot from here to there. You know, think about the next time you take an airplane or the last time you took a plane. At almost no point in time was the pilot on track to the exact destination. You have to take into account wind. You have to take into account weather. You have to take into account other planes, hopefully, right? And even when they get to the other airport, you find sometimes they circle the airport so they come in. And so that no point was that plane actually aiming directly at the other location. It was always course correcting. And that course correcting is an allowance. I'm saying it's okay to be off plan as long as you know where north is, where we're trying to get. So having clarity on your goal, not changing your goal, but changing your tactics to get to the goal. That's what's important. So step 2 there is build a plan. Step 3, I just talked about it a minute ago, Work the plan. Work the plan like a bloodhound on a trail. You try to pick up that bloodhound, he's going to be upset. I want to work the trail. I smelled some blood. I want to go. Be that. Just absolutely stick to it no matter what. People will try to pull you away from it. One of the guys that in that last company I was talking about, one of the gentlemen that was part of that was a guy from Texas, a really nice guy. His name is Steve. And he told me, I would consider him an elder statesman and somebody I leaned on as my mentor. And he said, Dominic, when you have a great idea in your business, that idea is like a beautiful ostrich egg. Imagine you've got a big, beautiful, very rare and unique ostrich egg. Have you ever held it? I've never held an ostrich egg. I can only imagine. It's massive, right? But that's your idea in the business. You've got this thing you want to do. You want to implement a new software, or you want to have better job site efficiency. You just want to do something really bold in the business. And that's your ostrich egg. And you're holding it in your hands. But now here's your job. You've got to walk from one end of the room to the other, which sounds easy. It's just an ostrich egg. It probably weighs 5 pounds. But here's what you don't know is that you've got to walk the gauntlet. And the gauntlet is people who are lined up on either side of you. And those people are people in your family, other employees, in-laws, competitors, people in your company who are detractors, the bad attitude Andy, all of those people. But what's even worse is they're standing beside you, from right beside you all the way to the other end of the room. You're just trying to take this beautiful ostrich egg, this beautiful idea from one end of the room to the other. Everybody's got a stick. And as you pass every single one of them, they get to whack it. They get one solid whack at your great idea, at your egg. Imagine that visual. That's you as a business owner. You're trying to get stuff done. This beautiful egg is your idea. We want to be more profitable so that we could pay people more. We want to be more profitable so we could buy new trucks or new equipment. Like we want to be more profitable so I can take some money home, so I can buy a better boat, bigger boat, so I can fish, I can hunt in Africa, whatever you want, whatever it is. That's your beautiful ostrich egg, right? But as you're walking through your business, everybody takes a whack at it. Your father-in-law, whack. Your accountant, whack. The tax man, whack. Detractor, what did I say? Bad attitude Andy, whack, whack, whack. And then again, because he's got 50 questions. Now he's 50 question Fred. Whack, whack, whack. Of course it's hard. You got this ostrich egg and everybody's taking a whack at it. They just try to protect the egg. So work the plan, but stick on it. Stick on it. And the way you stick on it is with accountability. Just like we talked about earlier, your wife wanted to do marathons, but she stopped training because she didn't have the accountability of a coach. Or you wanted to improve your golf score. As I said, as a joke, apparently golf scores are supposed to be low. Who knew? Get a golf coach. If you want your business to run better, get a business coach. Doesn't have to be me. Get somebody. Get somebody who's impartial, but who cares only about you and your best interests. Doesn't have to be me. Let's put that on the table. I don't care if it's me. But if it is me, I'm a dog on a bone for you. Lee is a dog on the bone for you. Jake, Ryan, we are a dog on the bone for you. We are built specifically to give you every single unfair advantage in the world so that your competitors have taken so many rights to the head, they're begging for a left. They're like, what's happening with John? How come his business is taken off and we're barely getting by? Why does he have all the employees he wants? Why is he getting all the big jobs? Because he's got a business coach in the background. He doesn't tell anybody. That's what's happening. Anyhow, you can see I get all fired up about this stuff. I want to thank everybody whose case studies I used here today. Please keep in mind all of the names have been changed, except for Chris. Just I didn't tell the story for Chris, but Chris and I have an inside joke going on that one. Oh, well, I'm talking about it. Let's talk about Nick. Nick, you too. All right. Thank you to everybody on that. If you've got a question, if you know which tool you need, let me know. Just send me a text at 315-903-7853. Now, if you're not sure which tool you need, but you know you need one of them, then you and I can figure it out together. It won't need 15, 20 minutes on a phone call. It won't take very long. Send me a text, 315-903-7853, and say, Dom, let's talk. And then whatever you want after that. And then we will figure it out. Again, 15 or 20, you can be in your truck, 15 or 20 minutes. It would be better if you're at your desk, because then I could send it to you right away, but you can share screen and all that stuff, but whatever you want. All right. I am here and you are there. Let's find a way to stop that. Let's get face-to-face one day. There will be a day when you and I have a cup of coffee or a glass of wine across the table from each other, and I look forward to that. All right. Thanks very much for checking in, folks. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Well, what did you learn from that episode? Practical steps to build your financial future. It took us a while to actually sketch that episode. And I hope you appreciate. We didn't want to come at it saying that we had all of the answers. It's more important to give a broader picture, and in that broader picture, capture the different pinch points, common issues that we hear from contractors. And, keep in mind, we talk to contractors that are doing 250, 300,000 a year, to contractors that are doing 10, 20, high as 60 and 80 million a year. And what's funny is we all have the same problems in general. If you put them in buckets, so there's just different amount of zeros after the problem. So please don't think if you're at 850,000 that life is going to be totally different and better when you're at 8.5 million. It will be better because hopefully by that point, we've got you to 15 to 17% net profit, living a totally different kind of life, but you'll still have challenges. And what you learn being the $850,000 guy prepares you to be the $8.5 million guy, if that makes sense. You can't just plop into an $8.5 million business and expect it to run with no issues. There's always things that need to be done. And as humans, we're always trying to improve our position. Those of you in the military know you always want to improve your position at all times, always be improving your position. It's the same thing in business, right? So I hope you learned a lot there. Practical steps to build your financial future. The 4 main categories we covered is I need more business. I need more profits. I'm buying toys to overcome the people problem. People headache. I'm laughing because I know exactly who's listening to this episode and they're laughing back. Nick, I might be talking to you. Chris, I might be talking to you. John, I might be talking to you. Thomas, I might be talking to you. And then the other one, Dom, money's fine. We're busy. I don't have a life. And that one we hear a lot, especially right now, the way the economy is going. People are busy. Getting new business doesn't seem to be the problem, but having a life balanced in there does seem to be a problem. Speaking of which, here is an anonymous letter or anonymous email. I guess we don't really send letters anymore, do we? So we got this email from one of our clients. I'm going to say his name is Neil. His name is not Neil, but I'm going to say it's Neil. Hey guys, I wanted to share some exciting progress that we've made since we started working together. As you know, when we first began, I was struggling to find and keep staff. So he's in a specialty trade, in a very specialty area. And, people aren't coming out of school being trained for what he does and what he promises to clients. So having trouble finding and keeping staff. It felt like a revolving door with new hires constantly leaving before we could really get them up to speed. It was exhausting and really starting to impact our projects and our profits, as you know. So there's a number of financial tools that we put in place, and those tools allow us to track back the source of a problem. And that's what he's talking about here from coaching. He does one-on-one coaching. He wasn't in boot camp. The solution you suggested, being more creative in our recruiting efforts and refining our onboarding and training process, really hit the mark. I'm going to stop there. So he's talking about 2 specific things that we do as coaches when, in his particular case, when the people problem came up. So being more creative in recruiting is number 1. And then number 2, refining our onboarding and training. So let me deal with number 1 first, right? Being more creative in our recruiting. Look, we're trying to hire trades guys. And so maybe you've even got an HR person or you've hired a recruiter, you're paying them the big bucks, but all they're doing is posting to Indeed. Well, stop. Our perfect employee is probably not on Indeed. Now, they might be if they're a draftsman, an engineer, an estimator, a project manager, things like that. They might be. They might not be. But there's most of the other trade positions, they're not looking on Indeed for jobs. And so one of the things that we did with I said his name was Neil. We're going to say Neil, because I can't use his real name. Being more creative in his recruiting efforts. You guys have heard me talk about this before, the food truck method. Just think about the food trucks that are around your office or your shop where you commonly do your work, right? Go to those food trucks. And you have to make sure you go when it's not busy. So don't go from 11:30 to like 1:30, right? But take 100 flyers, 100 recruiting flyers saying now hiring cabinet installers, or now hiring window installers, now hiring carpenters, now hiring whatever trade, hydraulic pipe fitters, whatever you need to do, right? Print off 100 of those flyers with a nice call to action at the bottom. Text Dominic at this number for more information. Like, really simple. Print 100 of those on 8.5 by 11 pieces of paper. Doesn't have to be fancy. Go get it done at Staples or do it at your office. And then go to that owner of that food truck and say, hey, I'd like to pay you $1 a flyer to hand these out to everybody who buys a meal. So if it's a mac and cheese truck or a grilled cheese truck or a taco truck, offer them $100. That's $1 a flyer to hand it out with every single mac and cheese that goes out or every single burrito that goes out. Who's going to say no to that? That's straight cash to them. But that's where we found him as guys, because we went to the source. It's thinking a little different. Nobody else is doing the food truck thing. It's not like it's taken over the entire country. There's only a couple thousand of us that listen to this podcast. My ego's fine. It's okay. But the people who listen are serious and they take action. And I hope you're one of those people. So if you're in Maryland or if you're in Manitoba, go find a food truck, give the guy $100 and 100 flyers, and you will get applicants. It's that easy. So that's what he's talking about here. That's one of the strategies. There's many more, but he's talking about being creative in our recruiting efforts. We have to think differently, and we have to go to the people where the people are. There's lots more strategy behind that. There's a lot more tactics behind that, but that was one of the things he's talking about. The second thing was refining our onboarding and training process. So that is really just being intentional about running the business, about onboarding people, not just leaving it up to chance. Or, and I've had other people say this to me before, Dom, when I'm paying that kind of money, they should come here already trained. All right, let's just chill out for a second. They don't. And they certainly don't know how you want to do things, and they can't see inside your brain. We have to train them. So there's onboarding and training processes. Actually, you know what I'll do today? The professional development tool that I'll share is the onboarding SOP and job description. I think that's the right one that goes with this education piece. Anyways, let me go back to Neil's. His name does start with N. That's why I'm worried here. Going back to his email. We started using a more targeted approach to hiring, focusing on fit and potential rather than just experience. So he was hiring on attitude, which Andrew Carnegie knew to do years ago when he was building his industrial empire. We put in place a more targeted approach to hiring, focusing on fit and potential rather than just experience. He goes on to say, additionally, the structured onboarding and detailed training plans you gave us have made a huge difference. Here's his results now. The results have been amazing. In just 3 months, we've changed over 40% of our team. Now, he's being kind of polite because some of the people were asked to change, if you know what I mean. Like some people had to go. He had some cancerous employees, let's say. Back to his email. The results have been amazing. In just 3 months, we've changed over 40% of our team. Now, I'm proud to say we have a crew I have complete faith in. They're engaged, skilled, and committed to our projects. The turnaround has been incredible, and I can already see positive impact on our business. Thanks a lot. This wouldn't have been possible without your tools. And then he finishes and says, Evelyn says hi too. And her name is Evelyn. But since you don't know his name, that name Evelyn just floats out there, but Evelyn's his wife. She's super nice as well. And then just a couple of closing comments and some of the metrics that we share back and forth in coaching. So listen, that's real people in real situations, putting real tools in place and getting real results. Right now, I'm giving you snippets here and there, and the problem they're outside of context. You don't know all of his background situation. You certainly don't know the trade he's in. It's a very specialty trade, but he's able to get that success. The schools are not churning out people ready to work for him. They're just not, because his thing is just a thing. It's just a thing that works for him. So you got to understand, we're in the business of the contracting business. We make promises to people, whether they're residential clients or commercial clients. And with commercial, I'll just say all types of, commercial, institutional, civil, all that stuff. We make promises to people because we have technical skills and tools, and we know how things go together, and we know how things come apart. We know how to customize things. It's a business. And we know how to solve people's problems, and we get paid to solve problems. Then we need skilled people to help us do that. But the people don't come to us necessarily skilled, which is why he said, he said it right here, focusing on fit and potential rather than just experience. I could train a guy how to do some weird, crazy specialty trade, but I can't train you the stuff you should have learned at your kitchen table growing up. Attitude, commitment, whatever the values are in your company. That we have to find in people. But once we've got that in the team, you got the building blocks of a great team. Not just the greatest technician who's the worst person in the world. And you guys all know him or her. Greatest technician in the world. You can't put him and one other person in the room together. They'll both kill each other. It's just, that is not the kind of company you want to run, right? I say that, and I'm thinking of a father-son team, and I definitely don't want to say the name there. Anyways, let's talk about the people problem. I want you to recruit and get creative about recruiting. And I want you to onboard intentionally. Now, onboarding might seem like a waste of time. You say to me, Dom, I'm already busy. What are you talking about? I don't know how to onboard. We got projects on the go. I can barely keep up as things go. Well, I'll tell you, when somebody's working with us one-on-one, we help them with their onboarding, because why wouldn't you? But even if you don't do that, we have SOPs that we share, and they're called professional development tools. All of our tools are professional development tools. All of the other trades and industries around us need PD, professional development. Some of them call it CE, continuing education. We do the same thing here for the trades. And so the PD tool, the professional development tool, is the onboarding SOP and job description. If you haven't downloaded this yet, get it from me, right? It takes you through a sample onboarding agenda, including this really interesting poster that saves a ton of time. Now, recently, we've had a real uptick in people who are saying they've got, more and more Hispanic staff working for them, and they're making this poster in Spanish, so it goes on the wall as well, because they're finding great workers who are willing to work and showing up and doing the job, and they happen to be Hispanic. English isn't their first language, so they're putting this on the wall in Spanish to get to the people where they are, to help them understand. So it's kind of really cool. The poster's called Who to Call for What, and there's an entire template and outline for you to build this yourself. And then you just go to, like I said, go to Staples and get it printed as a big poster, or print it as smaller posters and put it throughout your shop or in your trucks or in your toolbox, your trailer, all those things, so that people know who to call for what. What that's going to do is stop at least one of the places people are bugging you all day. When they don't have an answer, they go to you. And that means you get knocked off of doing payroll or estimates or solving problems or doing punch lists and all those. It's a shame, right? So it's not going to solve all the problems in the world, but it is going to solve one of them. And guess what we're going to do after we solve that one? We're going to go solve another one. And you know what we're going to do after that? We're going to go solve another one. Guess what we're going to do after that? We're going to go solve another one. That's how you get ahead. Not magic. It's just a systematic approach using simple systems to turn around the business. Anyways, then there's an onboarding agenda. And the onboarding agenda takes you through what to do on day 1, day 2, day 3 of somebody being trained. And then because of the technical differences and the position differences, it gets a little bit, how do you say it, more customizable after that. But in the beginning, we train everybody the same way. Those of you who read my book, which is called Construction Millionaire Secrets, one of the secrets in there is construction millionaires train everybody the same way. You might be surprised. In some of the biggest construction companies, they train the CFO the same as they train a site super, and it's the same as they train somebody who is a new laborer on the crew. They talk about the values. They talk about the vision. What do we stand for? What do we not stand for? What are our expectations? They talk about who to call for what. Crazy. And then from there, it gets more customized based on the position and the time allotment. So anyways, that whole SOP is here. And all you need to do is take this and customize it. It's probably 20% wrong for your application. But you know what that means? It's 80% bang on. I just did 80% of your homework. Let's go back to grade 12. If you had a friend who did 80% of your homework, would you be mad at that guy? No, probably not. I never had a guy who did 80% of my homework. I should have. Anyways, so the sample onboarding agenda broken into the 4 stages of onboarding, including some emails that you send, including things you need to do internally to make sure that person feels welcome in your company. The other thing I want to point out is that there are SOPs that we can use in the business that take a little bit of time. It takes a little bit of setup and a little bit of time, but you don't have to do those. I can give you a piece right here, right? A great test and training for a new employee is to show them something critical to the job. So let's say that in your particular trade, we use ladders to access roofs or crawl spaces, anything like that. Well, how do you use a ladder safely? Now you think, come on, Dom, everybody knows how to use a ladder. No, they don't. No, they do not. And even if they think they know how to use a ladder, they might be using a residential ladder and not the class of ladder that you provide them at work, which is a more industrial heavy duty one, right? So now you think, okay, now Rubino, you want me to make an onboarding video for how to use a ladder? To which I will say, yeah, that's exactly what I want you to do, but I'm going to show you a shortcut right now. Do you guys want to hear the shortcut? First of all, do you agree that your team needs training on something technical, such as ladder use, such as changing tool heads, such as charging batteries for power tools, such as how to coil hoses and cords and cable, anything like that. Can that be helpful on your team? How to use tin snips and shears? I don't know what your trade is. Well, here's what you do, my friend. You don't have to shoot that video. You go to this magical tool called YouTube. I don't think I even have to finish the piece of guidance and leadership and mentorship. Go to YouTube. Let's keep using ladder. Find a ladder safety video that you agree with. Find one that suits your way of doing things. The state of California has more rules than any other state anywhere. So find a fire department in California that's posted a ladder safety video. Use that video as part of your onboarding. And now you've got a recognized expert giving you a ladder, which is a fireman in California, using a ladder safely. That you now have a standard for ladder safety. You didn't have to make it. Right? So you've just put an SOP in place right there. Didn't take you any extra time. You're going to be on YouTube tonight anyway, right? Watching dog training videos or something like that. So why not find a ladder safety video that you like? And there's a whole host of other ones. How to install a roof safety anchor, right? How to reading a tape measure. I know you're laughing, but you also know what I mean. We got to show some people how to read a tape measure, right? All of those things. Those are all videos you could find. You could find anything on YouTube. Just make sure you don't get one where it's like a 13-year-old kid explaining something technical. And, and that 13-year-old kid posted it there because it was part of a school project they had to do. Find a serious video that suits your values, your method of approach, your method of delivery, the quality that you expect in your company. Even if you have to look a little bit harder for it, you'll find. So there are shortcuts that you can use. I want you to work smarter, not harder. I want you to work smarter, not harder. Anyways, when we talk about the people problem, there are a number of gears on the cog. The number of teeth on the cog that need to go together for the people problem to start to work. I'm thinking specifically about Thomas. We've spent 2 quarters, which is 6 months, getting his people problem solved. It's pretty solved right now. We replaced him as the owner with 2 project managers. The guy was that busy, and he's running a multi-million-dollar contracting business. And he's a great guy. And he's strong in his faith and active in his church. And he's a great dad. How much can one human take on? So we had to build those systems around him, right? The systems are buildable. And Thomas was wise enough to say, Dom, show me the system. I will follow the system. So anyways, I hope that helped. If you want this download, this professional development tool, it's called the Onboarding SOP and Job Description. What I think you should do is send me the keyword onboarding and text me. Easiest way to get in touch with me, guys, is just to send me a message to the cell. It's 315-903-7853 and just say onboarding. And then we will send you the onboarding document. That's how it works. That's our SOP. Pretty simple. Thank you for checking into today's episode. I hope you got a lot of value from it. The focus of today was practical steps to build your financial future. The short answer to that whole thing is you do it on purpose. You don't leave it to chance, because the age of 30 becomes 35, 35 becomes 45, 45 becomes 70 before you know it. You might as well take advantage and get ahead of that while you can. Thanks for checking in, folks. One day you and I are going to have a cup of coffee or a glass of wine across the table. I can't wait for it. Talk to you soon.